Hello, hello, and welcome to AutumnWillowsDollNursery. My name's Miranda, and today we have with us little Effie Salome with her beautiful little pigtails. She is such a cutie. I need to change her outfit. She's been in these jammies for a little bit. But that's our sweet little girl, and she's going to help us today with our 10 difficulties of being a doll collector. And I'm sure you guys are going to be able to relate to these. So I've got my notes here, and we're going to dig right in. So, have you experienced number 1 on this list, fear of missing out on the perfect doll? Now, if you're talking manufactured dolls, you may not experience this so much. But if you're talking Reborns, one-of-a-kind painted dolls, I think that's where we get like the fear is real. And I even have my own stories of missing out on that one perfect doll that years later I'm still thinking about that doll. So that's a very real thing in the hobby, okay? Next, number 2. This is, we must have self-control. This isn't limited to the doll hobby, obviously. If you collect other things, I'm sure you experience the same thing. You've got to have self-control for multiple reasons. You can't just buy everything that you want for various reasons. So you have to be self-disciplined or you can get yourself into trouble, right? Number 3, I've talked about this one recently, and that is selling a doll and regretting it later. Do we all have this one too? Can we all relate to this one? Whether it's a style of doll that you're switching the style of doll that you're collecting. And so you may have collected porcelain dolls, and then you find reborn dolls and you're just totally obsessed. And you think, well, I'm not doing anything with those porcelain dolls. If I sell them, I can put that money towards getting a reborn. So you sell all of your porcelain doll collection, and then you're like, wait a minute. I wish I would have at least kept 2 of these dolls or 1 of these dolls. I've been there. I've done that. And maybe it's you've gotten bored with a doll. You know, you've had it for a while, you get a little bored. So you think, well, I'm bored with this doll, I'll sell it so I can get a new doll. But then you end up regretting that later as well. That's a real deal that I think every doll collector has experienced at least once. All right, number 4. Investing in a doll and finding out it wasn't what you were expecting, or maybe even something was wrong with the doll. So this one I have experienced. I ordered this doll and it came with a lot of flaws. A lot of flaws that the artist didn't tell me about. Even to the point of sometime during the making of the doll, its thumb or finger had gotten ripped off, and they glued it back, and they didn't even bother like cleaning up the goppy glue. So you can get a doll, and either through like something was wrong with it like that, or you just find, ooh, this kit wasn't for me. I've had that happen where the kit was a lot smaller than I was expecting it to be. And you know me, I like bigger babies. And this was like almost preemie, and I thought that it was going to be like a 0 to 3 month, which may not seem like that big of a difference, but it really was. And especially his head. His head seemed way too small for the rest of his body. It was just very odd. He needed preemie pacifiers because even just a regular newborn pacifier dwarfed his little tiny face. So yeah, a doll wasn't what you were expecting it to be, or a kit even wasn't what you were expecting it to be. That's a difficulty. Okay, number 5. And this kind of ties in with that. And that's not being able to bond with a doll. And that may not even be because something is wrong with it. It just may be the circumstances around it, like my whole situation with Felicity. Very disappointing. And so it may not even be the doll itself. The doll could be perfect. But maybe the doll, you had trouble with shipping, or you were going through a really bad time in your life. Maybe even a family member passed away, and now you associate that negative situation with a particular doll. Say that's for real upsetting. For real upsetting, okay? Because it may be the perfect doll. It may even be the most expensive doll you've ever purchased. But something happened and it ruined the bond. Okay, next difficulty. And that is shipping issues. Now, I've never had a major shipping issue. Thank goodness. I've had things get a little held up because of weather or whatever, but nothing major. I've never had a doll get lost or stolen, or ended up in a situation where maybe somebody just didn't ship the doll. It was a scam or something like that. I've never had that issue, but I have read all of these horror stories in the different groups, watching YouTube videos. These things happen. I can remember one story where a lady had purchased 2 very expensive dolls, and they were delivered to her house, but her camera picked up the person that delivered them. If I remember correctly, it was a lady. She put the 2 dolls, the big boxes, on this lady's porch, took a picture of it, like showing that she had delivered it, and then grabbed them back up and stole them. Now, I don't know if she was able to really get like a good face and get anything done about it, like from the camera, or if she was just out. Both those dolls. But scary things like that do happen. And when we have a lot of emotions tied up into a doll, that can be devastating. It can be devastating financially, because it may mean that that's just it. You're not getting a doll, and that money's just gone. So, major difficulty of being a doll collector. Number 7. If you want something specific, then sometimes you have to have a custom made. I will never do a custom again. Never. Never, 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 never. Because you aren't guaranteed how that doll is going to turn out, and if it will even look the way you were picturing it. Because you can even send an artist photos of exactly what you want, and that doesn't mean they're going to be able to replicate it. And I've heard so many negative stories around either customs like taking a whole year. There's no way. There's no way I would have done lost interest. No way. There's a ton of scams. A friend of mine had sent away a kit to be painted. She purchased a kit, sent it away to be painted, and the lady just took her kit and she was just out. No. Having to trust somebody with that you're even going to get the doll, they're not going to try to scam you, but what if it doesn't turn out the way you wanted and then you're just out? So customs are just, no, I can't do it. So that means if you're wanting a very specific doll, you just have to wait for somebody to do a doll like that, or you're going to be buying things to try to make that doll yourself. And either way, it's stressful, right? Either way, it's a pain. Okay, number 8. Now I know not one of you is going to be able to say this is not an issue. And that is having space. Having space for your collection. I am the type of person that I want my collection, no matter what I'm collecting, I want it to be displayed beautifully. if you have a ton of dolls and not a ton of space, you're either not going to be able to display your whole collection, or it's going to be a cluttered display and it's not a thoughtful, beautiful display. It's just cluttered. And maybe some people like the cluttered look. I personally don't. And that means I can only have so many dolls on display at a time for it to look aesthetically pleasing. So space is a huge deal. Especially if you're wanting like the full nursery effect, right? That's where it gets hard. Number 9, competition between collectors for a doll. I've never had like a major deal with this because I've never had a ton of friends in the hobby, but I have heard stories of other people that they have best friends that collect, and they can be competing for the same doll. They can be wanting the same doll at a show or from an artist, and if there's only one, then you're competing with a friend for that doll. That sounds horrible. That just sounds horrible. But even if it's not like in person at a show, both of you are trying to get the same doll, but just if somebody, and I have had this happen, wanting a doll and then somebody else being able to go and get that exact same doll before you had the chance to go get it, and it's just kind of sad, right? It's just kind of like, oh, and then you have to see that person with the doll that you really wanted, and it's sad. I've experienced that. So there is a level of competition, whether it's just online or in person. You're at a show and, you know, maybe you're in line for a table and the person in front of you purchases the doll you were coming to purchase. Not fun. Not fun. I don't know if you guys remember, I cannot remember which kit it was. There was a limited release of 500 on a specific kit, and so many people went to go purchase that online the moment it dropped, and a bunch of the computer messed up, and a bunch of people, like somewhere around 1,000 people got confirmation that their purchase went through, but there was only $500, and then later emails were coming through. Do you guys remember that story and the details on it? Because I'm fuzzy on the details. Was it an extra 500 people, or was it only like 300 or 100? I was thinking it was a large number of people got a confirmation that they purchased the kit, but then later was like, you didn't actually purchase the kit. There was a mess up in the computer. That right there would have been devastating. And I remember seeing in the groups I was in just post after post after post of ladies saying that this happened to them, and they thought they got the kit and found out the next day that they didn't. Yikes. Yikes. So number 10, wanting to support all of the artists. You may have a bunch of artists that you love and you would love to have one of their dolls, but you know, things are limited, funds are limited, so you can't support everybody that you're wanting to support. Oh my goodness, this one can be difficult. Yes, it's easy to pick up manufactured dolls like this Virginia Turner doll here. You know, anywhere from I think I got her for $50, right? And there are multiple of her out there. So it's easy to get a hold of those. But when you're getting a doll from an artist, you know there's going to be, it's going to be way more expensive. Especially if we're talking like a local Reborn artist or somebody online. There are so many artists that are small artists that I know of, and I would love to be able to go and support all of them. But realistically, you just can't, you know. So I have a bonus. Technically we have 11. So this is our bonus. And this is telling people that you collect dolls is difficult because you don't know how people are necessarily going to respond. And this has been the biggest issue with me telling people that I collect dolls. There is a stigma, and I even made a comment about this on a post, and my comment was not very well accepted. But I'm telling you, this is my experience. When I tell people that I collect dolls, I get the, ooh, dolls are creepy. That's creepy. Like, don't you feel like they're staring at you? Or what if their head moves? Like, and it's a stigma that I believe comes from all of the scary movies that have to do with dolls. That is a very popular horror genre. And some people love that. Some doll collectors love that genre. But it makes collecting and telling people that you collect difficult because people automatically assume the scary, creepy, you know, why would you collect dolls? I could never collect dolls. I could never be in a room with dolls. I've even heard someone say that. Like, I can't be in this room of your house because there's dolls in here and I feel like they're staring at me or their head's gonna move. You know, they're just automatically like, dolls must be possessed. And so it's not even the fact that people look at you weird because you collect reborn dolls and the whole stigma behind that. They just assume you're mentally ill. That's a big thing. I'm not even talking about that. I'm not even talking about that aspect of it. I'm simply talking about the aspect of it that people automatically go to, you're living in a haunted house because you have dolls. And that drives me crazy. That absolutely drives me crazy because I have the exact opposite feel. Like, I don't look at my dolls and think, ooh, creepy ghost stuff. Like, I have bonded with these dolls. Like, they are like a sweet little puppy to me, right? And so for somebody to look at your sweet little puppy and go, oh my gosh, horror story, dog's gonna eat you, that's really annoying, right? That would be annoying. And so that is a deal. That is a huge deal. And I have to, when I'm having conversation with someone, I have to gauge, should I even mention, like, we're talking about things that we like, should I even mention that I'm a doll collector? Is this person going to automatically go to either you're mentally ill or you live in a haunted house? Your dolls are possessed. Like, what? And there are times where you're just like, not worth it. Not worth it. Not even going to mention it. And so then you feel like you're hiding a part of yourself, a part of who you are, for that reason. And maybe I shouldn't care, because a lot of times I don't. But it depends. It depends on the person. It really depends on the person. If it's just somebody out that I don't know, then I don't care, right? If it's somebody online that I don't know, I don't care. But what if it is a relationship that you deem valuable? You really like this person, but you don't know what their reaction's going to be. And you don't want to damage the relationship at all. And it's easy to say, well, you shouldn't be friends with somebody like that. That's easier said than done, right? Because the situations are different. It's not like there can be situations around the line of work you're involved in. And do I tell this person I work with that I collect dolls? Is this going to make my work relationship difficult? Are they going to have this perception of me that I live in a haunted house now? Or I don't want to go to their house because they collect dolls. I mean, there are people that have that fear to that level that they won't even come to your house if they know you have dolls. Just because they're afraid a doll might be in your living room or something. You know, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing to think about. And it's easy to do these sweeping statements of, well, I just wouldn't care, or I'm not worried about that. And I've been that way in a lot of situations, but there are some situations where, yes, that is a deal. And I will keep my mouth shut because I don't want any kind of stigma, you know. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So, what did you think of these technically 11 difficulties of being a doll collector? Now, I do want to do this video on the blessings of being a doll collector. So, be looking forward to that soon. But for now, we have to look at the difficulties first, right? I think the good things far outweigh the difficulties. So, don't be discouraged by the difficulties. Hang around. We're going to talk about the blessings on another day. Thank you for joining us, and bye for now.